Today we're going to talk about the Watcher over in Westfield, New Jersey. This is a recent case, so with that being said, I want to make it very clear that it is for entertainment purposes only. And all people are innocent until proven guilty. So, making that very, very clear. Only because this is an unsolved case still, and it's only from a few years ago. So, if you don't know anything about the Watcher case, basically what it is there's a family, the Broaddus family. They purchased this home in Westfield, New Jersey at 657 Boulevard back in 2014. And they received a number of creepy letters from somebody who claims to be the Watcher. I don't want to go into too many details on this as far as like what the case is, but I will link down below like the BuzzFeed Unsolved video for it. It does include a lot of the details in regards to the actual facts of it, so you can always check it out if you want to after this or before you watch this. It doesn't matter. So but I will give some details, don't get me wrong. So there's been some letters sent to them when they purchased the home, before they even moved into it, which they never moved into it, by the way. They never moved into it. A letter, an anonymous letter, claiming that they've been watching this house for years, decades. And they're like, why are you here? And I'm just like, when I saw these letters, I'm just like, I think somebody's having a go. So it goes through a whole process. The family ends up never moving in. They have 3 children, and this Watcher referred to their children as young blood. I don't know about you, but if somebody ever referred to my children like that, you'll find me with my rifle. I don't care what anybody thinks. I will find them. That's just how I work, though. So yeah, I get violent when you threaten my children. So anyway, so of course it obviously disturbed the family a lot. They went through a whole process, and receiving multiple letters from this person or whoever this Watcher is. And they went through a process with like a private investigator. They went through the cops and everything, and they went through DNA checks and handwriting analysis and all kinds of stuff. They could not find who it was. They could not track it down. And so they were like, well, we need to they did try suing the previous owners, because the previous owners had received a letter right before they were moving out. And so they tried to sue the previous owners for not disclosing that they received a letter from this Watcher, which I don't think I saw the results of that lawsuit. I'm going to imagine nothing happened, because I don't know. My thought is that the legal system is not stupid when it comes to that kind of thing. I know it is stupid regarding other things, but so I don't think that anything happened with that lawsuit against the previous owners. So, but what had happened is that they were like, well, we need to just destroy the house. Let's put in for like the local city commission or group or whatever it is that watches over the neighborhood, and see if we can split this out so we can destroy the house and then sell it to a developer, build 2 houses instead. And it was declined after a bit of debate. It was declined, saying that the properties would be 3 feet less than what was necessary for each lot in this neighborhood, despite the fact that one down the street had been given an exception for a lot more than 3 feet. So that's where, things get a little weird. Things get a little strange. Come to find out, Mrs. Broaddus had been raised in the area and everything. She's familiar with the town, that kind of thing. And they wanted to raise their kids there. They never did find out. They put in renters, and then they did end up selling the home a couple years ago. So they never found out who this watcher was, and there's no reports from the new owners that there's any issues whatsoever. The interesting thing is that Derek Broaddus, who is, the Mr. of the family who had purchased the home back in 2014, he was, I'm going to say, quote unquote, upset in regards to the denial to split the lot into 2 homes and all kinds of other stuff. And he had written letters to the neighbors and signed the anonymous letters to the neighbors, signed friends of the Broadduses. Because that's not scary. Because that's not weird. So we're going to do a tarot reading just to find out what's going on, answer some of these questions. We're going to start from the beginning though. And so I want to find out what happened as far as if there was anything going on with the previous owners. Just get some answers regarding that. Of course, answers regarding the letters themselves. What was this person referring to? Whatever. All right. So Spirit, if you can assist me, please. Always gonna ask. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to go over the Watcher case, Westfield, New Jersey. Yes, the one on Netflix. Please note that the story on Netflix is sensationalized, and there's a lot of dramatizations that are not real. As far as in that series, the family moved in. In real life, they didn't. In real life, they did not. So, there's a bunch of stuff in the Netflix series. It's a good story. It's a fun story, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I didn't want to watch it when I saw this come up here on the BuzzFeed Unsolved thing. I was just like, oh, this seems cool. So I like to not be tainted too much. Okay, so Spirit, can you talk to me about the previous owners of 657 Broadway? Not Broadway, excuse me. 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. Tell me if they what their experience was with the neighbors and with any... We've got the Empress. I would say that they were treated well. They felt really good. They felt really good about the area. The Empress implies, long-term security. Long-term security, and they felt pretty safe. And they did live there for 23 years. So obviously they didn't have any major problems. I mean, that's very obvious. Empress right there, they got nothing. They got nothing. And they sold it to the Broadduses for $1.3 million or something like that. Some ridiculous amount of money, which I'm sure they did not pay back 20 something years ago. Okay, so I'm going to let that go as far as the previous owners. Let's talk about the Broaddus family. There's questions that I have in regards to their intentions on why they purchased this property. Allegedly, they had sold their other house. Okay. Spirit, tell me, there's a lot of noise outside, sorry. The sun. Tell me what was going on in the Broaddus' minds when they purchased this home. How is their financial situation in general? I don't want details. I don't need details. I just want to know what their financial situation was like in general when they went to purchase this property. What was their financial situation like? Was it comfortable? That kind of thing. Did they over purchase a house? That's the question I've got. Did they over purchase a house and so then they felt they had to make money off of it? That kind of thing. So please tell me what their financial situation was in regards to purchasing this property. What were they thinking about this property? got strength coming up here. I see ego there. That's a Leo card. That can, indicate a lot of ego as far as like, sometimes arrogance. They're like, I'm strong enough to do this. I can do that. So I do see a family that's just like, heck yeah, I've got the money to do this. I'm going to do it. Okay, great. And so how were the Broadduses feeling regarding their purchase of the home once they received that first just before they received that first letter? How were the Broadduses feeling about their purchase just before? Oh. Okay. So, how they were feeling just before they received the first letter. We've got, right here, this card says the universe. This is also the world card. It came crashing down. Something had come crashing down. That's an ending. And then we've got the King of Pentacles and the Two of Cups coming out too. Some sort of contract. Some sort of contract that somebody had with somebody, probably for work. I'm going to say for work, fell apart. Because you can see in this Two of Cups here, this is two people making a promise to each other. Pinky promise in this case, right? Tying the pinkies together. But it signifies contract. So some sort of contract fell apart, having to do with somebody's work, King of Pentacles, and it caused it all to come crashing down. And so suddenly they're like, oh, I wish I could back out of this. Okay, so tell me more about the mindset of the Broadduses prior to receiving this letter, this first anonymous letter from the Watcher, please. Again, this is just for entertainment purposes only, okay? All subjects are innocent until proven guilty. Tell me about the mindset of the Broadduses, please, at that time. Tell me more about this universe, about this world card, please. Tell me more. Tell me more about the, there we go, Four of Cups. Yep, a lost opportunity. That's basically a situation of, damn. And so I think what had happened is that they moved too fast when they purchased this home. Because there must have been something that was up in the air in regards to their business or whoever's work or whatever going on. And there was a contract that had been signed. And they were super excited, super thrilled about it and everything. Yeah, we're going to go buy this amazing home in my old neighborhood, for his wife and everything. And then it fell apart. It fell apart. Wow, okay. All right. So how did the Broadduses actually feel once they received this anonymous letter from the Watcher, please? How did the Broadduses actually feel after they received this letter from the Watcher? Okay. We've got the Lovers and the Ten of Cups. They were so enamored with the idea of the letters from the Watcher. Okay. We're just going to straight up skip here because this basically says that they sent the letters to themselves. Because they were excited. They were super excited. I mean, they were happy. And they could see, they were emotional. They're like, yeah, this is going to be the answer to all of our problems. That's what that says. Ten of Cups and the Lovers. This is going to be the answers to all of our problems. We've made an excellent choice here, and it's going to make us a shit ton of money. That way then we can recover everything and, you know, recover from the mistake that we made, the jump that we made to purchase this home. Okay. Because that's I mean, after you receive that first letter, that's not how you should be feeling. I'm watching your house. I'm stalking your house. Blah, 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 blah. All this other stuff in that letter. And you're like 10 of Cups, perfectly 100% rainbows and butterflies, happy. And in the Lovers type situation, you know, I feel like this is fated and this and this and this and this. After feeling 4 of Cups regarding like some sort of work thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, Spirit, tell me more about like what the broadesses were planning, please. Oh, we've got the Sun. Happiness. Tell me more about this, Sun. What are they planning? Tell me more about that, please. Yeah, we've got the Knight of Wands. They had an idea and they were acting on it. They had an idea and they were acting on it. They're gonna... I wonder what Derek Broaddus did for a living. Do I have my phone? Let's see. I want to know what he did for a living. I don't know. I don't think that's the right guy. Yeah. If you happen to know, like, what he did for a living. I'm curious about what he did. Was he a story creator? You know, that kind of thing. What kind of things did he know he could get away with? Obviously intelligent, you know, that kind of thing. So there's something happening here and they were moving forward towards it. How did the Broaddusses... Okay. Yeah, and they were like... They were locked in on this house. Hanged Man. They were locked in on the house for the moment. Okay, so how did they feel in regards to the threats against their children? How did they feel against the letters' threats against their children? Okay. We've got the Death card, 5 of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, and the 5 of Swords. I mean, it's just like... I don't think they liked the threats of young blood against their own children at all, even if they did read it. I don't think they liked doing that. Because what I'm seeing here with like the 5 of Pentacles and the 5 of Swords with the Ace of Swords in the middle, it's separating themselves from the truth. Separating themselves from the truth in an effort to make a change. Death. Obviously nobody has died here, so this is not actual death right here. This has to do with some sort of change and transformation. In order to change the situation, they had to separate themselves from the truth. That's what they were feeling like. They didn't, I feel like they didn't like it though. They didn't like having to go that far. Tell me about this Watcher. I want to hear about this Watcher. Who is this person? I know that this is like implying that they are the ones that did it themselves, but let's investigate other ways. That way then we can make sure all the questions are answered, you know? You know? I'm just like, show me, who is this watcher? What's this person like? Who's the person that wrote those letters like? We've got the Tower. 10 of Pentacles. Oh. Page of Cups, the World. Oh, wow. Okay. So the person who wrote those letters is somebody who had their God damn it. Let's back this up. The Tower card is sudden cataclysmic change or a surprise. Somebody who had a sudden cataclysmic change or surprise to their 10 of Pentacles situation. A 10 of Pentacles situation is like you're perfectly happy, wealthy family home, you know, that has a stable situation, you know, a house, a home, white picket fence, dog, kids, whatever. You know, this is your I won the lottery kind of situation where you are not struggling for money at all. Excuse me. Something happened to them. Something happened to their home situation. And what's interesting is that the card that came out of that is that there had been a hope and a dream. Page of Cups. There had been a hope and a dream. But then what happened is that we have the World card. Same as this other one on what happened just before the first letter was sent. The World. Something came to an end for this person that wrote the letter. Has to do with work. 3 of Pentacles. Has to do with work. Death came to an end. And so there's hope. We've got the Hierophant and the Star after that. We've got this hope that we can build something using the system. The Hierophant does sometimes signify like old traditions and, you know, beliefs and stuff like that. And the Star has to do with hopes and traveling down a different path, that kind of thing. What's interesting is how similar this is coming out to how the Broaddusses felt just prior to the first letter being sent. The person that wrote this letter has lost their 10 of Pentacles, has lost their wealth, has lost their livelihood, their stability. They lost it, and they were hoping to do something else. They're trying something different to recover. Trying something different to recover because they're locked into it. You just buy a house. You can't just turn around and flip it. Or they could try, but they would lose money. They had an ego about the purchase right here with the Strength card. They had an ego about the purchase, and I bet that they paid like top dollar for it. And it's not even worth that, you know? This is implicating that the family wrote the letters themselves. This is implicating that. And they threw money into handwriting analysis, and they threw money into DNA check, and yes, it's a woman, and they checked it against like their weird neighbor, you know, Langford. Checked it against their weird neighbor, no connection. No connection whatsoever. Did they check it against Mrs. Broaddus, though? 10 of Swords. No, they did not. I'm betting that they should check it against Mrs. Broaddus. They would never look at the victims, and the victims would be the victims who may actually be the perpetrator. We don't know. This is just a tarot read. The victims would never allow for them to test it. How dare you test me? Thing is that a real victim would allow that to happen. Be like, yeah, please, so you know what mine looks like versus theirs. Because that's what a real victim would do. and wouldn't have fear of getting caught. Okay. What else do we have here? Why did the city council or whoever it was that determined that they would not split the property, why did they say no when they've done it for other people? Why did they say no? The Magician, just because they could. Okay. Just because they could. What also popped in my head here, which may be presumptuous, is because they created the situation themselves. Because nobody's ever had complaints about that neighborhood before, from what I understand. Spirit, what's the general situation of that street? Are there tensions? Is it weird? Tell me about the condition, the general emotional condition of that street and the neighbors together. General emotional condition of the street and the neighbors together, please. On that street for 657 Boulevard, please. So we have 9 of Swords, and then we have 6 of Wands. I didn't clarify the time. I should have. That's the thing about when you talk to Spirit. It's like talking to a computer. You need to be very clear. So this is the condition now. I should have asked about what it was then. This is the condition now. They are really stressed out about how public it is. Six of Wands talks about somebody who's parading around in front of people. They're really stressed out. It stresses them about how everything's very public right now. I could understand that because they have news people going around and the Netflix thing that's gone out and everything. It gives a poor look to their neighborhood. And like the Broadduses had to sell their house for $400,000 less than what they purchased it for a couple years ago. Now the thing is that the Netflix thing came out like 9 months ago, because this is July 20th of 2023. So it's 9 months ago that it came out or so. And they sold it 2 years ago, which they took a major loss. Ace of Wands, because they had an idea. Probably to sell it to Netflix. That's probably what happened. Sell the idea to Netflix, not the house. Excuse me. Not the house. But sell the idea of this whole Watcher case to Netflix. They wanted to sell it for the rights to a movie or something. In the BuzzFeed Unsolved link that I've linked down below, they talk a little bit more about that. So this right here says that that's what happened. That's why they sold it, because they did sell it to Netflix. Sell the idea. Okay, let's go back here. What's the... Oh, change. Okay. What's... I always change decks because I want to make sure the energy is fresh. And we don't have any missing repeats. And I just listen to whenever Spirit says I should. Okay, so tell me about the condition, the emotional condition of the street and neighborhood prior to the Broadduses. We've got the Hierophant. It's a very traditional neighborhood. Very traditional, very, very settled and mature. Okay. What else? Anything else? Were there any other issues with anybody, with any neighbors or anything? We got Queen of Pentacles, 9 of Cups. No, there were no issues. There were no issues with any of the neighbors or anything like that. So this kind of came out of nowhere, I think, for the neighborhood. This whole thing. Wow. Okay. So Spirit, I'm going to straight up... Wow. That came out here. We've got the Chariot, 9 of Swords, and the 3 of Pentacles. That came out. But here's my question that I was trying to ask. Spirit, did someone from the Broaddus family write the letters? Did someone from the Broaddus... We've got the Wheel of Fortune that came up here. What I'm hearing is a yes when it comes to that Wheel of Fortune. But there's a little bit more to the story. Yeah, Page of Swords, a little bit more to the story. There was somebody who was underneath. They may have had somebody else they knew write them. Five of Cups. They had somebody else write them. So it wasn't their words. It wasn't, you know, like, it wasn't like Derek brought us, you know, wrote it all out and everything like that, right? Or typed it out. But somebody else actually wrote it out. Someone, what I'm seeing with this Five of Cups here is somebody who studied or participated, I can't really tell which one. Somebody who studied or participated in, like, studying killers' behaviors and, like, psychology and stuff like that, like criminal psychology, that kind of thing. Maybe someone who just really watched or, you know, entertained themselves with a lot of crime stuff, you know, like, even if you have someone who loved the series, let's say Criminal Minds. I loved that series. Loved it because that's a lot of, you know, criminal behavioral psychology. This person seemed to know a little bit more about how that works, and it's like the Broaddusses asked that person to do it for them. Because remember Five of Swords. Plausible deniability is again coming up here. Plausible deniability. I didn't write that letter. Doesn't mean they didn't put up the person who did, though. You know? And then, yeah, we've got the World coming up again. The Fool. Because they wanted to end this, the whole thing that they had with the house. They wanted to end it and walk away without taking a giant loss. And they had this idea, Page of Wands. They had this idea. Let's see if this works. It's creative, I'll tell you that. Page of Wands, creative. Very creative as far as, like, what happened. But now, like, you know, that Netflix series and everything, of course, is making some money for them. Unfortunately, at the expense of the neighborhood. I mean, they took a loss when it comes to... Is there a card that's upside down in here? I thought I saw a card. They took a loss as far as, like, the years that they didn't live there or anything. They had to pay a mortgage. I'd be interested to see. Just thinking about, like, the you know, legalities that come into short selling a house. I've done that before. I've short sold a house. I was young. I was young. But short selling a house, you're effectively going through almost a foreclosure type process with the house. But it doesn't affect you like a foreclosure does as far as, like, your credit and stuff. If that's not the case, if they did not short sell the house, say they had put a mortgage on it, you know, that it was less than the, you know, $1 million that they sold it for before. If there was even a mortgage on it. I don't know. Because what if, Tarot's not going to tell me this. What if they had paid cash for it? paid cash, dumped all of their savings because they had this big contract that came in, dumped all of their savings into this beautiful house to raise their kids in, and took a small mortgage, if one at all. But then this whole thing falls apart, and now they need to pull the money out. Now they need to pull the money out of the house because suddenly that contract fell apart. Whatever contract for whatever this work thing for somebody, it fell apart, and they need to pull the money out of the house so that they could survive. You know, that kind of thing. To me, that would explain more of why they were able to hold on to it for a few years, because there was no mortgage on it. That would explain that to me. And how they were able to sell it at $400,000 less than what they purchased it for, because there's no mortgage, or at least a mortgage of less than the amount it was sold for. At least. Don't know. Just thinking about like logistics on how that works, because it's a process, and it's a known thing. You know, when a house is put up for short sale, it's a known thing. When it's put up for foreclosure, it's known, and that would have made the news. That would have made the news, because they would have said something about it, because the news outlets were on it. You know, they even had a renter in there for a little bit. Okay, let's ask this. Show me what, if... I don't really care about the actual financial condition of the Broaddus family. I do not care. What I care about is whether this incident caused them to increase their financial condition, or if it caused them to decrease, as far as like their wealthiness, their wealth. So there is a thing in here. 3 of Swords. Pain. I thought I saw one. Okay. I don't know when that flipped. Probably around this time, you know, where there was pain in regards to this house and how they had to get rid of it. Of course. Show me, did the Broaddus family, you know, increase their wealth with this situation? Whoa. Did I flip my cards around? Oh, okay. Nope, I didn't. Alright, so we've got 6 of Wands that came out reversed. 6 of Wands that came out reversed. It didn't turn out quite the way they wanted. It didn't turn out quite the way they wanted, and it did not... it didn't increase their wealth. That's the word I'm looking for. It did not increase their wealth from their current state. It did not. It was, they took a loss from it at this point. I think the whole, you know, selling it to Netflix and all that stuff is mitigating the loss for the mistake that they made of purchasing this home in it before they should have. Yeah, they're just paying for their own mistake. That's basically what happened. It's a situation of a family that, you know, was looking to increase their situation as far as like, you know, build their situation, build their 10 of Pentacles and everything. And they thought that everything was going to be stable and secure with the contract for whatever work thing. And then they're just like, yeah, let's just throw a bunch of money at this house. We're going to move to this gorgeous neighborhood. We're going to do this and this and this, raise our kids there. They get into the house. 3 weeks later, contract falls through. Contract, you know, gets nullified or something like that. Breaks their heart. Breaks their heart. And they're like, oh no. You know. So then they come up with this idea. Let's do this. Because, you know, I've seen this happen. And maybe we can convince people of this thing. It's very creative. How we jumped from that kind of situation to this, I don't know. Somebody's got an imagination on them. Somebody's got an imagination on them. Let's see if we can make this work. It's like a total fabrication of a case. Total fabrication of a case. And they paid all this money to, you know, for handwriting analysis and private investigator and cops and all those other things, you know, DNA analysis. Which DNA analysis for criminal stuff is not cheap. It's not cheap. So these people had money. So it's like a money type situation. It's a, let's see if we could just turn this around into something that, you know, wins. Oh, I've got this idea. Let's try this. We'll hire somebody else who knows stuff about criminal psychology, you know, and like, you know, behavioral things. Have them write it. Have them scare the shit out of us, turn it into the news. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's what happened. That's what I think. That doesn't mean that that's actually what happened. Because again, this is entertainment purposes only. I do enjoy these cases that are current and everything like that. So if you have any cases that you want to see, point them towards me. You know, the YouTube comments will not accept links though, just because there's too many spam bots out there. So do not put links out there. Just tell me the name of the case, and maybe like the name of the site to go to take a look. You know, that way then I can do my own research on it, and I'll do a video on it. So. Thanks so much for being here. I do appreciate you. Again, entertainment purposes only. All parties are innocent until proven guilty. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.